Have you ever wondered why, even after years of experience, intimacy can sometimes feel uncertain or even a little intimidating? Especially as we get older, many men carry silent doubts. Am I doing this right? Is she truly satisfied? Here's the surprising truth. Pleasure isn't just about youth or performance. It's about knowledge, confidence, and connection. And science shows that when men over 50 learn how to engage their partner with awareness and skill, intimacy can actually become better than ever before. I want you to know this. You're not alone, and you're not past your prime. In fact, this stage of life can unlock deeper levels of intimacy if you understand a few simple but powerful shifts. Today, I'll share expert-backed insights that every man deserves to know, so you can move past hesitation and step into a new chapter of confidence, connection, and lasting fulfillment. Stay with me. Have you ever found yourself wondering, in a quiet moment, whether the way you touch and connect with your partner still truly satisfies her? For so many men, especially after 50, this question lingers unspoken, creating doubt and insecurity where there should be closeness and joy. Here's what most men don't realize. Intimacy isn't just a matter of age or stamina. It's a matter of skill, awareness, and understanding the science of pleasure. Research shows that women's bodies respond differently as they age, and what may have worked in your 20s or 30s may no longer have the same impact today. That doesn't mean you've lost your spark. It means you have the opportunity to grow, adapt, and unlock even deeper levels of intimacy. And the truth is, when a man knows how to approach this with confidence, gentleness, and knowledge, he not only pleases his partner more, he also regains his own sense of vitality and self-assurance. This is not about tricks or performance. It's about real connection. And today, I'm going to share insights that every man over 50 deserves to know, so you can experience intimacy with greater passion, purpose, and fulfillment than ever before. Stay tuned. Have you ever noticed that intimacy feels different now than it did years ago? Not better or worse, but simply different. Many men over 50 quietly wonder why the same touch that once brought instant response from their partner doesn't always create the same reaction today. This can lead to doubt, hesitation, and even the fear that something has been lost. But here's the truth you need to know. What's happening isn't a loss of passion. It's a change in biology, and understanding this shift is the first step to unlocking even deeper levels of connection. Science shows that as women age, changes in estrogen, blood flow, and nerve sensitivity alter how their bodies respond to touch. Areas that were once easily stimulated may now require more patience, more variety, and more awareness. For many men, this feels confusing, even discouraging, but in reality, it is an invitation. It's an opportunity to expand your skill, to shift from automatic habits to intentional, science-backed methods of touch that awaken pleasure in new and powerful ways. Think of it this way: intimacy isn't static. It evolves just like the rest of our health does. The same way we adapt our diet, exercise, and sleep as we age, we must also adapt the way we connect physically. And the good news is that men who embrace this shift often report greater confidence, closer emotional bonds, and a renewed sense of vitality, not only in the bedroom, but in every part of life. Because when you feel competent and connected in intimacy, it radiates into your energy, your self-worth, and your overall well-being. One of the most fascinating findings in sexual health research is that touch is not just about physical sensation, it's also about the brain. The way you engage your partner's body sends signals through nerve pathways that can either create anticipation, safety, and arousal, or anxiety and shutdown. When a man takes the time to slow down, focus, and apply techniques that align with how the female body truly responds after 50, he activates a cycle of trust and desire that cannot be faked or forced. That is the hidden science of touch. It's not just about where your hands are, it's about how your intention and awareness translate into her experience. And here is where empowerment comes in. You are not powerless against age. You are not stuck with the fear that passion fades. Instead, you have the chance to become more skillful, more attentive, and more connected than you may have ever been. This stage of life can be the moment where intimacy shifts from performance to mastery, from guesswork to knowledge, from surface level connection to something deeply satisfying for both of you. When you approach intimacy with the mindset of learning rather than proving, you not only transform your partner's experience, you transform your own. Science gives us the map, but it's your willingness to grow that unlocks the full journey. And that journey, especially after 50, can be richer, deeper, and more rewarding than you ever imagined. So many men over 50 carry a quiet belief that their value in intimacy depends on stamina. They think, if I can last longer, if I can perform harder, then I'll be enough. But here's the surprising truth. Science consistently shows that what creates the deepest fulfillment for women isn't how long you can go. It's how skillful, intentional, and present you are in every touch. Stamina may impress for a moment, but skill builds connection that lingers long after the experience is over. Researchers studying sexual satisfaction have found that emotional attunement and mindful touch consistently outweigh physical endurance. In fact, surveys reveal that many women prefer slower, more thoughtful stimulation because it allows them to fully experience their body's arousal cycle. For men, this means releasing the pressure to perform like they did at 20 and instead embracing a new measure of success. How well you read your partner's responses, how gently and confidently you guide her into deeper states of pleasure, and how much safety and closeness she feels in your presence. Think of it like music. Anyone can strike notes quickly, but a true musician knows how to create rhythm, flow, and resonance. The female body, especially as it changes with age, responds to the art of rhythm far more than raw speed or force. That's why men who prioritize skill over stamina often discover a profound shift. Intimacy becomes less about proving something and more about creating an experience of connection, trust, and joy. And here's the empowering part. You can learn this skill at any age. Just as you adapt your exercise routine to keep your heart strong or your diet to fuel your body, you can refine your intimate approach to align with what truly works now. It's not about losing your masculinity. It's about redefining it in a way that feels more authentic, more grounded, and ultimately more satisfying for both you and your partner. Science tells us that women's arousal requires more than just physical stimulation. It thrives on emotional safety, anticipation, and the subtle cues of being deeply seen and valued. When you take the time to focus on her responses, to notice the small shifts in her breathing, the slight changes in muscle tension, the sounds that tell you she is opening rather than holding back, you are engaging in one of the most powerful forms of intimacy. You are showing her that she matters, and that is something no clock or measure of stamina could ever provide. The shift from stamina to skill is liberating. It removes the weight of unrealistic expectations and replaces it with curiosity, confidence, and growth. And when you embrace this mindset, you not only deepen intimacy, you also rediscover your own vitality. Because intimacy at this stage of life isn't about endurance, it's about mastery. And mastery is something you can claim not by pushing harder, but by touching wiser, listening closer, and loving better than ever before. So many men over 50 carry the quiet weight of self, doubt when it comes to intimacy. You may wonder, am I still enough? Does my partner truly feel desired? Do I still have what it takes to satisfy her? These thoughts can creep in silently, and if left unaddressed, they begin to shape how you show up, not just in the bedroom, but in your confidence, your relationships, even in how you carry yourself in daily life. What many don't realize is that these doubts are not a reflection of failure. They are signals calling for a new approach, a rewiring of desire that science shows is fully possible at any age. The human brain is the most powerful sexual organ we have. Research in neuroscience proves that pleasure and arousal are less about mechanics and more about how the brain interprets signals of safety, excitement, and connection. For men, this means learning to let go of the old scripts and automatic habits of younger years, and instead cultivating awareness, intention, and presence. For women, especially as they move through midlife and beyond, this means receiving touch that feels tuned to their body's changing rhythms, touch that awakens anticipation and signals that they are cherished, not rushed. Here's where the science becomes empowering. The brain's reward system can actually be retrained. Just as we rewire our habits in exercise, diet, or sleep, we can also rewire the way we experience and create intimacy. Men who embrace this shift often discover that their confidence grows naturally, not because they're trying harder, but because they're listening more, learning more, and giving with greater purpose. Desire, in this sense, is not about raw performance. It's about the alignment of mind, body, and intention. Imagine intimacy not as a performance to get right, but as a language to become fluent in. Every gesture, every pause, every breath becomes part of a dialogue that builds trust and amplifies pleasure. When you approach your partner with curiosity instead of pressure, you invite her nervous system to relax, to open, and to respond with a depth of desire that no amount of force or speed could ever unlock. This is not guesswork. It is biology, and when you understand it, you step into a new chapter of intimacy that feels both natural and deeply fulfilling. What happens when men take this path is remarkable. They often feel a new vitality, a renewed sense of masculinity that isn't tied to outdated measures of success, but to something richer, the ability to connect deeply and authentically. And when that confidence returns, it spills over into every area of life, into work, relationships, and health. Because the truth is, when you feel capable and connected in intimacy, you feel stronger, more alive, and more purposeful as a man. Rewiring desire is not about becoming someone else. It's about uncovering the best version of yourself. And the science is clear, no matter your age. This transformation is within reach if you're willing to embrace it. Many men reach a point in life where they begin to question themselves in ways they never had before. After 50, you may notice that what once felt effortless in intimacy now comes with hesitation. You may find yourself asking, am I doing this right? Does my partner still feel the same spark with me? Am I losing my edge? These questions can quietly erode confidence, turning moments of closeness into moments of doubt. But what if I told you that doubt isn't the end of intimacy? It's the beginning of mastery. That very uncertainty you feel is the signal that you're ready for growth. And science shows us exactly how that transformation can happen. Research in sexual health and neuroscience has revealed something powerful. Confidence in intimacy doesn't come from guessing or pretending. It comes from knowledge. The male and female bodies both undergo changes with age. Hormones shift, nerve sensitivity alters, blood flow patterns change. And yet, instead of seeing these changes as barriers, men who choose to understand them gain a clear advantage. When you know how her body responds, now when you understand what truly stimulates connection and arousal at this stage of life, you stop guessing. You replace hesitation with clarity, and that clarity becomes confidence. This shift is profound because intimacy is not just physical, it's psychological. The brain interprets touch through a filter of emotion, safety, care, trust, anticipation. When you show up with knowledge, knowing how to move slowly, how to listen to her body's cues, how to focus on areas that awaken deeper sensations, you create an experience that makes your partner feel valued and deeply understood. That's where mastery begins. And it's not about being perfect. It's about being present, informed, and intentional. Think about the difference between fumbling in the dark and having a light to guide your way. Many men move through intimacy relying on old habits, things that may have worked decades ago, but no longer fit the reality of today. The light, in this case, is science, research-backed insights that reveal what truly works for her body and for your own health. When you step into that light, the doubt that once held you back begins to dissolve. You no longer wonder if you're enough because you know you are showing up with skill and purpose. And here's the most encouraging truth. The journey from doubt to mastery doesn't just enhance intimacy, it transforms how you see yourself. Confidence in this area spills into every part of life. You walk taller, you speak with greater assurance, and you carry yourself with the quiet strength that only comes from truly knowing your worth. That is the gift of choosing knowledge over fear, of replacing insecurity with science-backed wisdom. This chapter of life doesn't have to be about decline. It can be about awakening. When you embrace mastery, you step into a role that is more powerful, more grounded, and more fulfilling than you ever imagined. There comes a point in every man's life when intimacy begins to look different than it did years ago. After 50, it's easy to assume that passion naturally fades, that excitement softens with age, and that what you once felt in your youth is somehow behind you. Many men silently accept this as an inevitable part of getting older. But here's the truth you need to hear: intimacy does not have to decline with age. In fact, with the right knowledge and mindset, it can grow richer, more satisfying, and more deeply connected than ever before. This stage of life can be the beginning of a new chapter, one where you thrive in love, health, and confidence. Science gives us a powerful perspective here. Studies show that while hormones and circulation do change with age, the brain's capacity for pleasure, connection, and desire remains intact, and in many ways can become even more profound. The key is adaptation. Just as you've learned to care for your body differently as you've grown older, changing how you eat, exercise, and rest, you can also adapt how you approach intimacy. It is not about doing more. It is about doing differently with wisdom and intention. This is where the transformation begins. When you start to see intimacy as an evolving journey rather than a performance you must maintain, the pressure lifts. You realize that what your partner truly values is not endless stamina or youthful energy, but presence, care, and the confidence that comes from truly knowing her. Women often report that what creates the deepest fulfillment is not grand displays of endurance, but a partner who listens, who notices, who takes the time to respond to her body's cues with patience and awareness. That is where the spark reignites. Not in rushing, but in deepening. And here is the hidden gift of this stage of life. You now have the maturity, the patience, and the emotional depth to offer this kind of connection in ways you may not have been capable of when you were younger. Instead of worrying about proving yourself, you can focus on mastering the art of intimacy, the kind that leaves both you and your partner feeling more alive, more valued, and more connected than ever before. When men embrace this shift, something remarkable happens. Confidence returns, not in the form of ego, but in the form of quiet assurance. Health improves because stress and anxiety decrease when intimacy feels fulfilling instead of pressured. Relationships strengthen because trust and closeness deepen when intimacy is rooted in understanding rather than performance. And most importantly, you rediscover a sense of vitality, a reminder that you are still very much capable of passion, pleasure, and joy. This new chapter is not about holding on to the past. It is about stepping into a future where intimacy becomes a source of renewal, not decline. With science as your guide and willingness as your strength, you have everything you need to thrive, not just in the bedroom, but in every area of your health and life.